Hello, today I wanted to make a video showing you how to use the Paginator component from the PrimeReact library. It's super easy to implement and it makes a great paginator. I know they're really tough to make. I've made a couple custom before and they're kind of just a pain, so this makes it a lot easier to do. So to start off, I'm going to go ahead and start a React app. So I'm going to run the command npx create React app, and then I'm going to put a dot here to show so that it makes it in this folder here. And then once that's done running, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and install the PrimeReact library, and I'm also going to import their CSS files. And before, in my previous PrimeReact tutorials, I've gone ahead and omitted this part and briefly described it at the beginning of the video, but I am showing it here just to make it easier, so you can go ahead and skip ahead if you already know how to do this and want to get straight to the into the implementation of the paginator. So this is almost done downloading here. There it is. Now the next thing that I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to use npm install. You can use yarn add, but I'm going to install PrimeReact and prime icons like so. And so the icon package is used in the paginator, I believe, for the arrows, but it's not necessarily needed. You can use other icons, but I would definitely suggest keeping these prime icons here. They're great icons. So the next thing that I'm going to go ahead and do is go into source here, and I can actually get rid of, let's see, I can get rid of app.css. Yep, I can move that to trash. App.js, I'm going to change to app.jsx, so I can use JSX syntax if I'd like to. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of everything inside the app here, and I'm going to get rid of this class name as well. I'm going to ditch the logo and the app.css imports. I'm going to go ahead and save that, and I'm going to delete, let's see, I'm going to keep that index.css, and I'm going to delete these 4 files here because I do not need them and they cloud up the area here. Perfect. So now that I've installed the PrimeReact and Prime Icons library, and I've also updated the app.jsx, I'm going to go ahead and import them here. So let me find the lines here. So here's the CSS files. I'm going to go ahead and import my CSS files here at the top. Perfect. So once I save that, that should be all set. And now we can import the paginator. And I'm going to do paginator from PrimeReact/paginator right here. Great. So now we can go ahead and get started with the implementation. All right, there's actually one more thing that we need to do before we can start implementing the paginator. And since we got rid of this report web vitals, I need to get rid of that function call and that function import there. Perfect. And then I'm going to come over to app.jsx and we'll get started. So I'm going to go ahead and import useState. So I can import that anywhere. I'm going to import it here. And we are going to set 2 different states here. One is going to be first row, or first, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call it first. And then one is going to be rows. So that's how we're going to set the state. We're going to set it to 0 at first. So that means that the first item to show in the first item to be showing is going to be 0. So the very first one. If I wanted to have it be the third item, I would set this equal to 2, so the index of the array, and then we would start on the second page since I'm going to have 3 items per page. But for now, I'm going to set this to 0, and then I'm going to set rows, and it's going to want to set it to 10 here. Since we have 15 people here, I'm going to go ahead and set it to 3 so that we'll have 5 rows initially. I'm actually going to add some padding to this div as well, just so that it's easier to see. And we're going to make this, we'll do 50 pixels, and then I'm actually going to do a flex, or sorry, I'm going to do display, flex, align items, we'll make this center, and then we're going to go ahead and justify content. We'll do, was it justify content like that? Yeah, justify content, and we'll make that center as well. And then the last thing we'll do is flex direction, and we'll do column. Perfect. So that should make the display a little bit better. Now we're going to come down inside of this div here, and we're going to add a paginator. And so with this paginator, we're going to set first property equal to the first state up here, and the rows property equal to the rows state. And then we're also going to set total records, as you can see here, directed by GitHub Copilot. So what total records is the absolute, like the full number of records that you're going to want to display in the paginator, whatever you're using for the paginator. So I'm going to go ahead and display a list, and so I'm going to use the total length of the list here, which is going to be 15, but I'm going to go ahead and just set it equal to data.length, so that can be dynamic. And then there's a function called onPageChange, and what we're going to do here is we're going to set the first and we're going to set the rows when the paginator changes something. So I'm going to go ahead and let GitHub Copilot fill that in. So the values that you're going to fill out here are going to be e.first and e.rows. Those are the values that are returned from a change in the paginator, and you want to set your state equal to those values. Great, so this should work, at least for the start, but there will be nothing that is paginating through. So let's do npm run start and take a look at this. And there it is. So here's the paginator. It works. You can click on the different items here. Actually, there's one more value I want to add in here, and that is going to be, I think it's row per page options, and I want it set to 3 different options. In the drop down, it'll be 3, 5, and 10, and those are the options that I would like to display for the number of items per page. So now if I go ahead and save that and go back, now you can see there's a little drop down here, and it allows me to change the number of items per page, and it automatically updates the number of pages displayed here in the paginator. Since we have 15 total records, it knows how to update this. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little list here just to display how this works. So I might actually let Copilot do this. So it's going to go ahead and slice this array starting at the first item, and then it's going to end the new array at the first item plus the number of rows. So then you can get the selected items on that page, and I'm just going to go ahead and let it fill out whatever it wants here. It's just for display purposes, so you can see what this does here is it allows the paginator changes these 2 states, which allow you to determine what to display. So the first is going to be the first item to display on the page, and the rows is going to be how many to display. And you can see that GitHub Copilot implemented that perfectly here. Now if I go ahead and save that, we should have a list here. Perfect. So you can see these are the first people on the list. And if I go ahead and move to the next page, it switches. And it's super easy. If I want to have 5 items, I just switch the paginator to 5. Or if I want to have 10. And now there's only 2 pages. Super, super easy. And there's a bunch of options for this paginator. You can do custom buttons. You can refresh it to set it back to 0, do a slider for items per page, all sorts of different stuff, even custom templates that allow you to display this paginator differently. I'm going to go ahead and leave a link in the description. The documentation's great if you want to use that and explore those, but I'm not going to go over them in this video. So I hope this video helped. If it did, please leave a like and subscribe.